which this is not true. There was a lot of 1 a.m., 2 a.m. shenanigans. The iPad is so worth it, guys. Hey guys, it's Peyton. Chances are, if you clicked on this video, you are about to be going into your freshman year of university, and I'm here to tell you pieces of advice, things I wished I knew before going into university, and what I learned about the entire experience. So I took some notes on my phone, and the advice is broken up into like 6 pieces. So I have campus, classes and teachers, things to buy for school, and then things to buy for your dorm, what dorm life is like, and just other general advice. So let's get into it. Starting off with campus. The first thing I would recommend is at least a couple days before your actual classes start, get yourself to campus, but go look specifically for your classes and your classrooms. You're gonna be stressed about a million other things on your first day of school, and trying to find your classes is not one you need to be worrying about. So I would go look around. You can see like the size of your lecture hall ahead of time, so you kind of have an idea on where you wanna sit, how big it's gonna be. And I just found this personally really helps, especially if you go with a friend. It can be a fun way to just get used to what your new classes are gonna be like. Do keep in mind, like a week into school, you're already gonna have your little route that you take every day, your little routine you do for your classes, so it will come over time. Okay, next up, even the ugly schools have some type of hidden gem, whether it's like a cute study spot or a really good food place. So get to know your campus. Kind of start exploring when you have free time, especially if you're living on campus. I would definitely recommend trying to find like a spot that's not too busy for studying, that not a lot of people go to, or a food place. I discovered this poke bowl place at my school. Oh my god, I think I was their #1 customer. Like, I was there all the time. Next up, get your money's worth. You are paying so much, unless you have like a full ride scholarship, to go to university. So go to all the events, use the gym, try out any like free services they have. My friend and I went rock climbing at my school. We're not rock climbers, and it ended up being so fun. Try to get as much experience for your money's worth as possible. Our next one is classes and teachers. So I feel like this one is where I felt the most misled, because I feel like high school teachers make university profs seem like so scary, full-on dictators that like treat everybody like a number in a system, which this is not true. Profs are actually really understanding people. For the most part, obviously there's good and there's bad ones. I literally slept through a midterm one time. I was literally in tears, and I went to my psych prof and she told me exactly what to do. And then she actually saw me again on the final exam. And she was like, I'm so glad like everything worked out. Have a great winter break. And that was a 400+ person class, and she still recognized me. And also, one thing to keep in mind in university, I know in high school there's always those like annoying boys that don't shut up in the back of the class. Nobody is doing that in university. Like, for the most part, people are silent in lectures because we're all adults and we're all here for the same thing. You are paying to go to school. However, the odd times when there are like people talking, I've had profs like full on call out the people, like stop talking in front of the 400+ people and be like, nobody's asking you to be here, you can leave if you want. Just be respectful of your profs, and they're honestly like, most of them are really good people. Okay, my next advice for classes are don't buy your textbooks unless it's absolutely necessary. Textbooks can rack you up so much money, and half the time they're either unused or they're just not helpful. So unless your teacher is very clear that there's like work that comes with the textbook, or there's like a special e-learning type of deal going on, I had some textbooks like that, I would just leave it. Next is set alarms. Coming from someone who, once again, slept through a midterm, just set your alarms so you don't miss things. Next, everyone says this, but it's so true, don't skip lectures. Keep in mind, in high school, your classes were spread out over a lot longer of a period of time, and you had them every day. Missing one university lecture is like missing 3 or 4 days of a high school class. Okay, next up, be smart with what online classes you're taking. A lot of people are tempted to just spam online classes because they think it's like a cheat code. And there are some that are really nice to have online. Like I took Health 101 online and my experience was way better than the people who had it in person. But then I hear people taking online like calculus and stuff and they're dying. They're basically having to teach themselves everything. So just keep in mind like how you learn when picking your online courses. The last point for the classes thing, but keep your student ID with you everywhere you go, because I've literally almost been late to term tests and stuff because I walked to class and then realized, oh my god, I don't have my ID on me, and had to go all the way back to my dorm and grab it. Just keep it in your wallet with you and that way you won't forget it. Okay, next up is things to buy school supplies edition. First up, this one again is pretty like common, I would say, but it is a good bag or backpack. You're gonna be doing lots of walking on campus. You don't want one that's gonna be like digging into your shoulders. You want one that's big enough to hold all your stuff, but also, you know, the lecture seats are pretty squishy in some classes, so you don't want this ginormous thing that's hitting everybody. I've literally been walloped in the face with somebody's backpack before, I'm not even joking. But yeah, get a good backpack that's gonna last you. I'll flash some pictures of some up on the screen. And it doesn't have to be expensive, like you don't need to drop $250 on a backpack, but just make it durable. Next up, okay, this is gonna sound really privileged to say this, but the iPad is so worth it, guys. A lot of teachers literally design their entire course to be iPad friendly. Definitely make sure you're going into university with an iPad. And then lastly, I would have some form of calendar or agenda. When I was in my dorm, I had my wall calendar, but then I also had like a little agenda. If a teacher one day would be like, oh, our term test is gonna be this day, I could just write it down and then go home and add it to my calendar on the wall. Also, I like going through the syllabuses. A lot of times they have like the due dates and stuff for assignments, and then you can just put all of them down in your calendar so you know, and you can always refer back to it. Next up is things specifically to bring to your dorm. These are things I either regretted not having or things that I feel like a lot of people just don't think about. And number one is some type of water filter, like a Brita filter. I was in a communal dorm and there was no kitchen or sink on our floor aside from the bathrooms. So it's either I buy a bottle of water every time I'm thirsty or I'm drinking out of the bathroom taps. I would just recommend having some type of water filter if you're unsure whether or not like you have a sink near you. And also that way it's like midnight, you know, you're super thirsty, you have some filtered water. Next up is some type of hanging fabric shelf. I'll show pictures of what I mean. I did get this and it was a lifesaver because while dorms usually have pretty good like storage space, a lot of them are just big empty cavities with like one bar, and you can really maximize your space by adding things like that. Next, everyone says this, but a mini fridge, they're not lying, it's so nice. You're gonna have leftover food, you're gonna want cold drinks. I know some schools offer like rentals for mini fridges, which is kind of cool. My school didn't do that, but definitely look into that. Next up is a fan. I did not bring this on my first day and it was like 30 degrees out. My dorms didn't have any working AC. Next up is your own source of light. Not that the dorms are gonna be like pitch black, but sometimes the lighting is just really ugly or it feels just like industrial. And adding in your own like fairy lights or sunset lamps just makes the space really feel like your own. I was so jealous walking into girls' dorms who had like the full LED light set up with like, it was just such a cozy vibe. Next is a shoe rack or like a shoe mat, especially in the winter time when it's just like snowy and you're gonna have like wet boots and stuff. You don't really want that on your floor. My dorm was carpeted too, so definitely glad I had one of those. You can get them from Walmart for like super cheap and they're just really handy to keep all your shoes organized. Now we're getting to the fun part. We're gonna talk about dorm life. what it is actually like, and things to keep in mind. It is true, making friends is easier when you are in residence. The thing is, you are going to be meeting so many people like your first week who are all going to be in the same boat as you and want to be rushing to make friends and get to know people. But what people don't warn you about is not a lot of those people stick around past like the first week of school. I met this one girl, we hung out like every day. The second classes started, she did not reply to any of my texts and kind of ghosted me. But it's okay to not have people stick to you immediately because everyone is just figuring things out. So don't get upset if you, like, the people you meet on the first day don't end up being like your lifelong besties. You will find those people. Be prepared for food to get repetitive and bland. This is very true. I guess it differs from school to school. Some schools are honestly just like known for their food. Some like sororities have their own chefs. But at my school, after the first like month, you're like, okay. That's why you have to start finding like better food places around campus or even just like in the area. It can get loud, like very, very loud. There was a lot of 1 a.m., 2 a.m. shenanigans going on my floor. The girls that I was on a floor with love to have parties, love to have random guys over. The walls are only so thick in a dorm, so be prepared to hear a lot of noise. If you're someone that really can't handle noise, I don't know, maybe bring really, really good earplugs. Actually, I invested in these loop earplugs. I'll put a picture. They're on Amazon, and they were a great choice. They were really good. The most fun thing I would recommend to do is go on walks, especially if your campus is safe, just like evening, night. I would get to explore so much more campus. It was so peaceful at nighttime. My campus was a pretty safe space. If you have like a sketch campus and you're like a girl, do not do that. But yeah, honestly, just go on walks, especially with friends, and just kind of also get out of your dorm. Sometimes you feel like you're trapped in your dorm. I was basically eating in my dorm, doing work in my dorm, sleeping in my dorm. You kind of need to get out after a while. Overall, I definitely did not regret doing residency first year because, like I said, I made so many friends, and it's also just good life experience to kind of leave the nest for a little bit. I'm just glad in the end I can say I did it. Now we're moving on to the other advice category. So this is just random stuff. Everyone says this, but get involved with clubs. I didn't really do any clubs, but the people who did do clubs made so many more friends and also just got involved in their school. But there's also so many clubs that you can just find something you're interested in and your school probably has a club for it. So definitely check out what clubs are in your school pretty early on too, so you don't feel like awkward joining last minute. Next up, visit the school fundraisers or events. This kind of ties into the get your money's worth. They had a lot of little fundraisers or shops set up in the student building. At one point they were selling crumble cookies, boba. There was like posters you could buy, which I actually got a couple for my dorm. Jewelry stands, clothing shops, all these little like fundraisers. My school had a whole fair and they're actually really cute and fun, and you get to talk to people too because people want to tell you about what it's for, and then you get to get stuff. So yeah. Next up, know what you're signing up for before you get overwhelmed. This kind of contradicts the sign up for clubs, but be careful when you sign up for stuff because if you don't know what you're committing to, you can get really stressed really fast. I joined this academic workshop thing that my school was offering. It got put on your transcript and you got to do like a tester part of the workshop, and I was like, oh, this is so easy. So I enrolled for it. Come to find out, it's like a ton of in-person workshops. You have to register for a whole course on your schedule. So I unenrolled pretty quickly after that. But just keep in mind, make sure you read fine print for things so that you know what you're getting yourself into. Alright guys, that's all the pieces of advice I have for today's video. I hope this helped. And any incoming freshmen, you guys got this. University is so fun and you have so much more freedom. So go out there, make friends, make memories, and do well in school. Make sure you guys subscribe so we can meet again, and bye!